And here we go. Welcome in to another edition of Bucky and BK. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. And we've got a lot to talk about on a Tuesday show. We'll dive into some NFL draft conversation as we sit just 9 days away from the opening round of the 2026 draft. We've got some Cowboys and Texans to talk about. Plus, the NBA play-in starts tonight. The San Antonio Spurs will find out who they will be playing in round one of the playoffs later today. We've got some Major League Baseball to dive into, a little Longhorn baseball to talk about, more college basketball, transfer portal conversation, and we will continue to preview this Saturday's fan day for Longhorn football. Maybe a tip for kids in the car line from the Buck here on a Tuesday. A lot to discuss. We appreciate y'all spending some of your Tuesday with us. How are you today, my man?
I am doing well. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it's going to be pretty humid again today. Temperatures okay, 70s, but it feels warmer than that. You go outside, it's nasty. It's sticky out, BK. It has been the last couple of days since we've had all this moisture in the air, which will continue. I think we'll make it through the day without any rain. And tomorrow afternoon, it may start to rain again. Thursday, a little bit Friday. Saturday looks like rain, and Sunday looks like rain. So, we had the original forecast was it was going to rain all week, but so far so good. We didn't, nothing really yesterday. Not much today. Probably tomorrow afternoon, but temperatures are still sticky. It's kind of it's nasty out, kind of. It's a nasty feel, but I think I'm getting to the point of, okay, we got enough rain. We can stop this. Let's just bring on the heat now.
You've really outdone yourself. Usually you give us a one-day forecast, but you just gave us the full 10-dayer today. So thank you very much for that.
People need to know for the weekend coming up, fan day, fan man, fan woman, fan boy, and girl needs to know what to expect for the weekend. Saturday, there's a real possibility of rain, over 50%. So.
That's not good. You don't do percentage chances. You tell us yes or no. Is it going to rain during fan day and all the festivities they have planned at and outside of DKR?
All right. Since I got a 48-hour window, I'll wait for that. I'll wait. I'm sorry for giving you this update so soon. Now, that's not good of me to have you trying to prepare stuff for Saturday. I'll wait. I'll wait till Thursday.
Okay.
Before I let you know what to do on Saturday.
I'm holding you to it, my friend.
I'm just, I'm being selfish, thinking of my gardening and what I need to get in the ground, and if I should put fertilizer on top of some things. I actually planted some watermelon this week. I know it's late, but I did that. I generally don't mess with the melons because that viney stuff takes up too much room in the garden, starts to vine out all over the place. But I'm noticing an abundance, not Gobundance, but an abundance of bees around. I have these little small rose petals around, and the bees around pollinating all the good stuff. So I went in and tried to see if I could do a couple melons. Maybe take some pictures if it works out of my melons.
You're planting some watermelon. That's interesting.
Yes, my wife eats the watermelon. It's kind of sticky, icky for me, but if she cuts it up, I'll eat it.
All right, that's a bit of a surprise.
Yes.
Figured the watermelon would be for you.
Oh, no. Why are you figuring that? Why would you figure the watermelon and the chicken is for me? I don't mess with the chicken.
But you figured the
watermelon would be for me, huh?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Mark Henry, last time I saw Mark Henry, or the time before that, he had a cup of watermelon slices in his car with him, and his wife wants him to eat this. It's bigger than a 12-ounce cup, probably 16-ounce cup of watermelon he does every day in his car as he's driving around, whatever he's doing. He'll stick a fork in it and eat melon.
He's eating watermelon while he's driving?
Yeah. Oh, he's got a fork. Yeah. Probably drinks the juice from the cup, but he eats the melon part of it.
I'm a little more scared of Mark Henry than I am of you, so I'll refrain from further comment on that.
Yes, leave that alone for sure. No doubt about it. Good day to the soldiers at Fort Hood, Texas, the soldiers in the state of Texas, and all those that fight for us each and every day. Thank you for your great job that you do. We appreciate the wonderful things you do for all of us. And to you and your families, please be safe out there.
Yes, indeed. All right, before we dive into some NFL draft conversation here on a Tuesday show, since it is Tuesday, how about a tip for kids in the car line brought to you by our friends at Relax the Back?
It'd be a good tip for everybody. A lot of people do this. The wise man bridges the gap by laying out the path by means of which he can get from where he is to where he wants to go. In other words, kids, make a plan. I know that's a lot for you to try to decipher there. The wise man bridges the gap by laying out the path by means of which he can get from where he is to where he wants to go.
You can't even read that. There's no way the kids are understanding all of that. Come on.
That means have a plan from where you start to where you want to finish. Don't just say you're going to do something. Don't say, hey, I was a D student, but this week I'm going to be an A student. You have to make a plan from where you started to where you want to end up. Always have a plan.
I like that. That makes a lot more sense than whatever you actually read.
You know who said that?
I don't know what you said.
Okay. The wise man bridges the gap by laying out the path by means of which he can get from where he is to where he wants to go. Where he is to where he wants to go. Somebody forgot something in there. Nobody put a comma in there.
You forgot something, I think.
Yeah, there's no comma.
Was it Shakespeare? I mean, what language are you speaking?
J.P. Morgan.
The bank can't talk.
That is, J.P. Morgan has made a lot of money and made a lot of wise investments for people over the years. In other words, have a plan.
Yeah, J.P. Morgan has been dead for a really long time.
Yes.
So that's why what he said made absolutely no. That guy lived in the 1800s. No one understands the language from back then.
That's why I just broke it down into have a plan from where you start to where you end up.
Where art thou, J.P.
Yeah, that's
Morgan?
That's sort of that language. Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right, we'll have a plan. I think, kids.
Yeah, if you're setting goals, you got to have a plan for it from where the start is to where the finish is. The start line to the finish line.
Kids are in the carpool line, very confused. It's gonna be a rough week for them trying to remember all of that from Uncle Buck.
Here's what they need to do. It's almost the end of school. Plan out what you want to do to end school on a great note. You don't want to end on the backside of some bad stuff at the end of school. You want to be. This is the crescendo time for you as school gets ready to end.
There you go. All right, kids. Remember all of that from Uncle Buck.
That's right.
Write it down, and there will be a test on it during tomorrow's show. So hopefully you have it figured out. It'll be good.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I barely know what you're saying, but I'm in my 30s. I don't know if an 8-year-old is understanding by any means, by all means, by whatever means. Well, you just
maybe you should use the laying out the path by means of which he can get from where he is to where he wants to go.
All right.
Beginning to end. That's what it is. Start to the finish. Have a plan.
There you go, kids. Start to finish. Get it done. All right. We are 9 days away from the start of the 2026 NFL draft. The Vegas Raiders are on the clock. We don't expect any surprises at the very top of the draft. The Raiders need a quarterback. It feels like there is one quarterback that's worthy of being in that number one overall pick conversation. And barring some crazy miracle, it'll be Fernando Mendoza, the reigning Heisman winner and reigning national champion quarterback at Indiana, taking his talents to Vegas. But after that, things are a little dicey, and I guess we'll focus on the two Texas teams for right now. We'll have plenty of conversations with insiders who cover the Cowboys and the Texans, and also some folks around the league to try to figure out what exactly is going to happen 1 week from Thursday. But I'll throw it to you here, Buck, right off the bat. Where are you at with, I guess we'll start with the Cowboys since they'll be picking first of the two Texas teams. Dallas has 2 first-round picks, their own at number 12 overall, and then the Green Bay Packers pick as part of the Micah Parsons trade at number 20. Where are you thinking, and what are you thinking for the Cowboys right now?
Well, if there's an outstanding defensive lineman to go along with the great line that they have, that's fine. But if the pick's available to them. But I think some of the guys, the kids from Miami are going to be gone. They're going to be out the door by then. I thought Caleb Downs may be one of those guys, if he ever fell to the Cowboys in the secondary, take that guy. He's just a good football player, a smart football player. I would take him. But he may be gone too. They may be stuck with offensive line play.
There's 2 defensive players, and then if they're off the board, the Cowboys have to go O-line.
Any of those kids that are secondary kids from like Tennessee, the 2 guys from Tennessee, if you got a chance to take those guys in there at that point, you have to take them, don't you? Got to do something about your secondary.
Yeah, I mean, your secondary's bad. You also need a better pass rush.
Right? Yeah, and
you need everything. You really need everything on defense except for defensive tackle, right?
Yes.
Like defensive tackle, you've invested a lot in Quinnen Williams. You went out and traded for him midway through last season. You've got Kenny Baker, who was the guy you got back in the Micah Parsons trade.
Right.
Those 2 guys are really good, and they're making a lot of money. I guess safety, you're all right. You did sign Jalen Thompson in free agency, which was like the biggest Cowboys free agency signing in years, and they're giving him $11 or $12 million. Just goes to show you how little the Cowboys invest in free agency. But outside of that,
would they do it at a cornerback? Would they take a cornerback?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if Mansour Delane out of LSU, who is, I think, viewed as the pretty consensus number 1 corner in this class, if he falls to 12, which he might not, he might end up in the top 10 somewhere,
sure,
then I think there's a good chance the Cowboys would take him. You talked about the guys out of Tennessee, Jermon McCoy, a little bit higher up, maybe at pick 20. I don't know if 12 is quite worthy for him, but obviously we'll see what the Cowboys do. Colton Hood, another corner out of Tennessee. I mean, there's a few other guys that the Cowboys should be interested in at corner, because that also was a major problem for them this past year that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out which offensive lineman they're going to fall in love with and say, we just had to have this guy for the next 15 years. And once again, they haven't made a lot of mistakes. They've had guys that played the offensive line and played for a lot of years,
And they've made mistakes. I mean, Tyler, the reason you're even talking about this is because
recently they've made with their tackles, they've not. The kid from Alabama is going to be there for a long time. He's a good player, but they're not. I don't know if they're going to get a tackle that at that time if you want to do it. But it's not a real need. I know it's semi-need, but offensively they're going to be okay. They got to find some defensive players, BK. They just have to help. What are they looking to do? Are they helping? Are they wanting to help the offense? Or they want to help the team? Team help is defense.
Yeah, if they're serious about trying to be a playoff team next year,
Correct.
which they should be because they've got the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, then they should be addressing
good offense.
No, the defense.
I said, and a pretty good offense, as you was talking about the quarterback.
Oh, sorry.
They got a pretty good offense. They can score some points.
Oh, you're saying addressing the offense. Yeah, they had a playoff caliber offense last year. They had the worst defense in the NFL. So if they are trying to win games, which Jerry Jones says they are, I know actions speak louder than words, and at times I wonder if his actions really back that up. But if they are trying to be more competitive and get back to the postseason, then they will spend both of their top 20 picks on defense.
Yes. And I think the secondary has got to be the main thing, although they do need some pressure on the quarterback too. They got it in the middle.
It's hard. Like, there aren't a lot of defensive players that they could draft where I'd be like, that was a really bad pick. Like, that's how bad their defense is. They need help pretty much anywhere and everywhere. So there's not really a lot. I mean, look, if they draft a guy who's projected to go in the 4th round, in the 1st round, then yeah, that's a problem. But if they draft, there's like 7 or 8 players that if they ended up with their top 2 picks, then I'd be like, all right, good. Like, that's what they needed to address. And they went out and did it. Now, there's been some buzz over the last couple of days, and it's a silly season, if you will, as we get this close to the NFL draft. But I've seen a couple of folks speculate about a trade up for Dallas. They've got some extra ammunition with those 2 first-round picks. So hypothetically, if Dallas wanted to move up into the top 10, maybe even into the top 5, to draft a Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, to draft a Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. Perhaps it's somebody different than those two guys, then maybe they end up doing it.
Well, if I had to pick between the two guys, I would take Styles, of course. Wouldn't you? Yes.
I don't know.
We like Caleb Downs because how smart he is and how he gets around and all this other stuff. But that big guy there, that guy can run, and you need a guy who can get to the passer. If I'm moving up for that dude.
I don't know. I mean, Sonny Styles is not an edge. He's not like your Micah Parsons type. So if you're thinking you're getting that with him, then that's not why you should trade up. But could he be like a Fred Warner? Could he be like a Bobby Wagner? Just one of those middle of your defense linebackers who's really freaking good for a long time? Yeah, like that's the ceiling. I mean, those are Hall of Fame caliber players I just brought up. But like that's what Sonny Styles could be if everything works out. Caleb Downs is a guy who can line up pretty much anywhere on the defense, and he's going to make some things happen. So he does play like safety is technically his position. So I'd be a little surprised if the Cowboys move up. But that's a guy you could drop in the box. You could put him at linebacker. He can blitz. He could stop the run. He can cover.
He can do everything that they try to do in Seattle, with their guys in the secondary.
Well, that's the team that just won the Super Bowl. So you're telling me I'm getting a guy who would fit in there? Then I'm going to say yes.
He's the guy who can blitz out of the secondary like a linebacker and get to the quarterback and time up blitzes and cover tight ends and cover wide receivers. He can do it all. I mean, and he's a smart player.
So that's what I want right there. I mean, if you're just talking about game tape and ability and you're throwing out positional value and maybe physical size and stature, then Caleb Downs would be a lock to be a top 5 pick in this draft. But he plays safety. And
they just don't take those guys that high. So.
Yeah, you don't see those guys get drafted that high. So, look, I don't think he'll fall to the Cowboys at 12. My gosh, if he does, then you run the card up.
Absolutely.
Jerry Jones. I guess they don't do a lot of running anymore. They just call it in. But if either one of those guys is there for you to stick and pick with your 12th selection, then you do that and laugh all night long.
If there's any chance, Downs would be the one who would still be there.
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking
guy's gonna be gone.
Yeah, I think so too. So that's where, if the Cowboys really like one of those two players, do they trade up? I mean, I saw a report from Jordan Reed, who covers the NFL draft from ESPN. This is, I think, late last week, where he said trading up continues to be a possibility, especially if there's a player that they have high on their board who backslides a tad. He mentioned Caleb Downs. He also mentioned edge rusher Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami as a player he could see the Cowboys maneuvering up for. Now, Ruben Bain has been in the news this week for the wrong reasons, because there's an incident from back in 2024, a car accident where a young woman lost her life, and Ruben Bain was the driver of the vehicle in that accident. So a couple of years ago, the family never really pressed charges, and things kind of went by the wayside. But unfortunately for Ruben Bain, that story has popped up at the worst possible time for him. So we'll see if that impacts his draft status a little bit. But those are the two names that Jordan Reed, who's very plugged in, mentioned that the Cowboys could be eyeing on draft night.
You'd be all right with him?
No. I mean, I'd be all right with him at 12. I'm not okay with trading up for the Look, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't make that declarative statement like that, because it depends on the price. If the Cowboys could move up 2 spots and they only have to give up pick 12 and a day 3 draft pick to go get a Ruben Bain or a Sonny Styles or a Caleb Downs, then I'm down. But if this is a situation where, like, I see one mock draft from the NFL.com, some guy named Gennaro Felice. I think I've ever heard of this dude, but apparently he works for NFL.com. He has the Cowboys trading both of their first-round picks to move up into the top 3 to take David Bailey, the superstar edge out of Texas Tech. That I'm not okay with. The Cowboys need both of their first-round picks this year, because like you and I have talked about, they have so many areas to address on defense that I don't care if they get an Arvell Reese or a David Bailey. Yes, that would help. Those guys are studs, and I think they're going to be in the league for a long time. But you need to fix multiple areas of your defense with those multiple first-round picks that you've got.
Plus, he's from Tech.
Plus, he's from Texas Tech. Yeah, that's the worst part of everything right there. So, I mean, I do like David Bailey, and I'd be like, I kind of think the top three is going to be Mendoza to the Raiders, Arvell Reese to the Jets. Right now, Arizona is picking third. Like, I feel like David Bailey is going to be your third pick. I think that's the top three. At least most of the mock drafts I've been looking at as of late have that as the top three, usually in that order. Things are obviously subject to change. But again, if you're Dallas and you do want to trade up, you can't give up pick 20 to do that.
No, you're not doing that.
I mean, remember Jerry Jones's whole argument, like when he had that press conference after the Micah Parsons trade, he's like, we just got 5 for 1. We traded one players. We got 4 picks. I think I called him Kenny Baker earlier. That's the Longhorns defensive line coach. I meant to say Kenny Clark. That's the other defensive tackle and the player the Cowboys got back from Green Bay. But that was his whole argument. It's like, we got 5 players instead of just 1. It would make a lot of sense to be trading multiple picks to minimize the amount of players that
maybe Coach Baker is a throw-in. Maybe they just throw him in just for good measure.
Cowboys get Kenny Baker?
Yeah, well, hell, just to throw in. I mean,
I don't want that because I like Kenny Baker at Texas.
Yeah, that's true. He's not big, and plus he's not big enough anymore.
Oh, now, are you talking about Kenny Clark or Kenny Baker?
Yeah, Kenny Clark's plenty big enough.
Oh, okay. You're saying Kenny Baker's going to play, not to coach.
No, not to coach, just to play. Maybe he's a third. Maybe he's an add-in.
Got it. Okay. Huh.
No, you don't want that. It's too small.
So the Longhorns have to give up a coach who's going to play for the Cowboys. What did the Longhorns get back? We get Overshown back or something?
You'd like to have him back. If he was healthy, you'd like to have him back no matter what.
I'd like to have him on Saturdays and Sundays if possible. I do like the Cowboys as well, and I'd like to see Agent Zero actually suiting up for the Cowboys more than 3 or 4 times this year. But, yeah, he'd be pretty good in college too.
Yeah, they're going to need somebody in there too because that group on the inside is not very good for the Cowboys. That's later down the line now.
What do you mean?
They need some inside help too, along with Overshow. They need more, as you said, everything on defense.
Oh, well, they don't need defensive tackles. If you mean that inside, they don't mean that.
They don't need the big dudes.
No, but they need an extra linebacker for sure. To pair with the Marvion Overshown. And again, they need corner, they need linebacker, they need edge rusher, and that's why trading both of your first round picks doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense for Dallas. But maybe Jerry Jones, I mean, he's been known to wheel and deal at times around draft weekend. Maybe he's got something up his sleeve right now to try to creep into the top 10.
Just don't give up that don't give up that other first round pick. Don't do it.
No. And then for the Houston Texans, and we'll talk more in depth about them later in the show and obviously leading up to the NFL draft. They're picking 28th overall. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but I did see a recent mock draft from Lance Zierlein of NFL.com that has the Texans taking Anthony Hill in round 1, which, I mean, it'd be a great fit for Anthony Hill, getting coached by DeMeco Ryans, being a part of that defense. But, I mean, if you're a Texans fan, like the way we talk
offensive lineman.
Exactly. The way we talk about the Cowboys needing defense, that's the way people should be talking about the Texans needing an offensive lineman. I know it's not sexy. I know it's like skill position players are always more fun, but like your whole year needs to be about getting CJ Stroud back to rookie year CJ Stroud.
Yes.
And making sure he's protected and he has time to throw it to those talented wide receivers. And David Montgomery and Woody Marks in that run game can actually make some things happen. Like, you have to find a way to make your offensive line better this year. That's got
you got to find out, and you got to find out about your quarterback. So you can't have any excuses. Well, we didn't have enough offensive linemen to protect him. That's why he's just the way he is. It's going to be, hey, CJ, you're getting everything you can. We've done everything we can for you. You just got to get better because we've helped you out in the offensive line. We didn't mess around with defense. DeMeco would love to defensive coach, get a guy like Hill. That'd be great, but what you need to do to help your team is do something with that offensive line still.
100%. 100%. And that's, and the majority of mock drafts you look at do have the Texans going offensive line in round one. I mean, if they spent both of their, or the first and second round picks on offensive linemen, I don't think it'd be the worst thing in the world. Caden Proctor out of Alabama, if he falls there, he could be an option. Monroe Freeling out of Georgia, a couple of SEC guys. There's a kid out of Arizona State who's been a popular mock to the Houston Texans. Yeah, I mean, you've got 2 years to figure out what CJ Stroud is. Maybe it only takes you one. Right. But they did pick up his fifth-year option earlier this offseason. So as of now, CJ Stroud is under contract for the next 2 seasons. You've got to figure out, okay, is this the guy we want to really invest in and give that big-time second contract to, that franchise quarterback contract that could be $45, $50, $55 million a year? Like you said, you've got to put all the pieces around him, eliminate any excuse for why things might not work for CJ Stroud, and really find out if he is good enough to be a long-term answer at the most important position on the field.
Yeah, because that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. If it works out bad, it's going to hurt anyway. Because now you're going to have to find another quarterback. So so you got to at least give it the best shot you can give it. You can't half-ass that deal right there. You got to give it every opportunity, because we saw what he was like as a rookie. We saw that he still could get you into the playoffs. We see what he's like in regular season. So giving him every opportunity to say, yes, you're our guy, or no, we got to find somebody else.
Yeah, and look, you draft some offensive linemen. If it doesn't work out for CJ Stroud, okay, the next quarterback you bring in, he's going to have some guys to protect him.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be just, these are wasted picks if CJ Stroud.
Oh, no, they're not wasted picks. They're picks for your team. You still need offensive linemen no matter who the quarterback is.
100%. So those guys, Blake Miller, another name to maybe pay attention to out of Clemson, some big school players. Again, popular mocks to the Houston Texans right now. So we'll see what they do. But to me, that's a no-brainer. Just like it's no-brainer for the Cowboys to go defense heavy in round one, it's no-brainer for the Texans to go O-line heavy in really this entire draft, if we're being honest, but especially with that first pick at number 28.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty set on defense and depth-wise too.
Yeah, they are, but they're going to draft a few defensive players because
their head coach is going to make sure that happens.
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans is going to make sure of that, and they do have 2 second-round picks, so they could maybe go 2 offense, but 1 defensive player pretty early.
Absolutely.
First 2 days. All right, we'll take your thoughts. The Coda text line, 512-222-9328. The YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch live chats are rocking and rolling as well. We will chop it up with Brian Ralph, who's a college basketball analyst for Basket Under Review. We'll get his thoughts on the Longhorns' newest portal pickups, and also we'll talk about other options for Texas and other storylines going on around college basketball. But before we shift gears, Buck, how about our first round of sponsor shout-outs?
Folks, if you're seeking that specialized patient-focused orthopedic care, contact the experts at Texas Orthopedics. Their physicians offer comprehensive surgical and non-surgical orthopedic care for children and adult, spinal care, sports medicine, trauma care, joint replacement, and more. Dr. Danny, Dr. Stockton, dedicated orthopedic surgeons there, and their goal is to get you right back into good health and the great quality of life that you deserve. Texas Orthopedics is the largest independent orthopedic practice in Central Texas. For more information, go to txortho.com.
Yes, indeed. Love Texas Orthopedics. Shout out to them. Also love Altstadt Beer, the best beer that you could find in the great state of Texas. A lot of sports happenings coming up here in the springtime, which means there's a lot of beer drinking opportunities coming up. In the springtime. Altstadt is my beer of choice. It should be yours as well. Whatever you have going on, if you're just sitting on the couch watching the sports, if you're going out, hanging with friends and family, enjoying some of this springtime weather, if you're hitting the pool, if you're hitting the lake, hey, fan day this weekend, you've got tailgates coming up outside the stadium. Make sure your coolers are loaded up with the best beer there is. That is Altstadt Beer. Brewed locally in Fredericksburg. They've got a number of different brews, something for every beer drinker out there. A great German-style lager, a German-style Kolsch. They've got a Hefeweizen. They've got a Pils. They've got a Light. Seriously, something for every palate. Don't just take my word for it. Go get you some. The next time you're at your favorite liquor store or grocery store or watering hole or restaurant, wherever you get your beer, drink the best there is. It's my choice, should be yours as well. It's Altstadt Beer. No impurities, no regrets.
And, of course, our good friends at Relax the Back, This morning, I sat in my relaxed back chair yesterday, BK, as I was watching last night, as I was watching the WNBA draft. I had to relax. My wife said, "You must be serious." She goes, "What are you watching? What Western are you watching?" I said, "I'm watching the W. That's what I'm watching." She said, "The WNBA?" She said, "What is it? Is it the finals?" I said, "No, it's the draft. I got to find out what my Dallas team is going to do." You know what I mean?
Oh,
What's
you're
going
a
to
wings
happen?
guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to be a wings guy. Yeah, they got to do much better. But now they got Paige, and now they have AZ. How about that?
Mm.
Last night, and I watched, of course, I watched all the girls from UCLA get drafted last night. My goodness, were they good? What a team that was! But I did that all in the comfort of my relaxed the back chair. Two great locations, folks. One is at the Hill Country Galleria, right across the street from Whole Foods, and in North Austin, at the Gateway Shopping Center, across from the Container Store. Live pain free while watching the WNBA from at Relax the Back. How's that?
I don't know if that's their slogan, but hey, there you go. Relax the back. Love their two Austin area locations. And also a shout out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. If you want to upgrade your space here in 2026, reach out to our great friend Mike McCall and his great team at McCall Custom Homes. How about this? Free estimates for
Yes.
kind of inspecting your place, but free estimates to Bucky and BK listeners. They'll come out to your place. You can tell them what you want to do. If you're thinking of a kitchen remodel, if you're thinking of a bathroom renovation, if you've got a growing family, you need to add on to your home. Maybe you want to add some new life to your outdoor space. Whatever's on your mind, McCall Custom Homes can turn those dreams into reality. It's a father-son team with more than 4 decades of experience here in Central Texas, so they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. A+ rated by the BBB, tons of 5-star reviews online. The Buck has had plenty of work done at his place from McCall Custom Homes. It's who we trust, and we think you should trust them too. You can reach out to Mike directly, 512-633-9580. Call him or text him, or you can go to their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Sweet.
All right. See him in the waiting room. Let's talk a little college basketball. Plenty going on here early in the offseason. The transfer portal is open. The Longhorns have been very active. There's plenty of big storylines around the country. And joining us now to talk all about it is Brian Ralph, a national college basketball writer for Basket Under Review and a member of the U.S. Basketball Writers Association as well. Brian, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate you joining us again. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm getting some sleep recently, which has been nice.
Yeah, I mean, what a season. What a basketball season, men's basketball and women's basketball. Boy, this was something special.
It was fun. I know there wasn't the number of upsets people were really wanting the first weekend of the tournament, but the byproduct of that is you get some really, really good action the last 2 weekends or so, and we certainly had that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to get some of your thoughts on what did happen in this year's NCAA tournament, but let's start with the Texas Longhorns. Sean Miller and company very active in the portal early on, landing 2 top 15 players. Isaiah Johnson coming in from Colorado, David Punch coming down from Fort Worth at TCU. Would love to get your thoughts on those 2 pickups thus far for the Longhorns.
Isaiah Johnson's going to be a really good lead guard in the perimeter. There's not a lot he can't do offensively. He needs the ball in his hands, but Sean Miller and company needed a guy who could do things with the ball in his hands. So I think that's a pretty good match there. Colorado was not good last year. Isaiah Johnson was not part of the reason why they were not good. If anything, he kept them from being an absolute disaster, right? So I think a better situation for him, better talent around him is going to help some of his efficiency, but he's somebody who can create with the ball in his hands. He can shoot the 3, create off the bounce. Defense is a little bit of a concern there, but that's just kind of the byproduct of his size as well, just as 6'1". But from what he brings offensively, you live with that because he's that good of an offensive player. And David Punch is the other one who I know you mentioned. I think he's a really good fit next to Vokatitis in the front court. Vokatitis is probably going to be your focal point next season, as he should be, as long as he continues the progression he showed this year, because he was one of the most unstoppable big men in the entire NCAA tournament by the time it got to that point. Punch is somebody who can do a little bit of everything. He can step out and stretch the floor a little bit. He can finish around the rim. Solid defender. He's got good touch. Underrated passer as well. TCU used him as some of the high point secondary hub kind of deal. So I think he's a good fit there. Now you're just left with, okay, what do we do on the wings? And I think if you are going to play two bigs, probably need some shooting. You'll need some defense to kind of mask Isaiah Johnson somewhat on that end to be able to hide him. But again, 1 week into the official portal, or a week and a day into the official portal opening, it's tough to get two better guys than Johnson and Punch there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Brian. I just think Vocatitis needs somebody to play off of that's semi-big underneath. He spends a lot of time with his back, with his back to the hoop. He's got enough, one-step moves to get right to the rim, but he also has the ability to pass over the top of guys if there's another big around the pass too, instead of always out to the corner or out, to the perimeter. It'd be nice for him to play off of somebody every once in a while too, as a big guy.
Absolutely. And we've seen the trend in college basketball and then in the NBA too, really, if teams starting to go bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that Michigan did, one of the things Florida did last year. You can even go back to UConn's back-to-back titles. They were a bigger team that played multiple bigs, right? But the key is you have to be skilled and you have to have them fit together. I think Punch and Vocatitis, their games fit pretty seamlessly together.
Absolutely. Brian Ralph from Basket Under Review joining us. Well, Brian, we got to give you some love because the last time we talked to you was right before the NCAA tournament. We asked you about the Longhorns draw, and you're like, it's a really good draw. I think they beat NC State.
Yeah.
I think they beat BYU. I think they can take Gonzaga. Sure enough, you were exactly right. So, hey, you can brag about that, but also would love to get your thoughts on Sean Miller's first year. Obviously Texas stumbled down the stretch in the regular season. They needed to play in the first four to really make the dance, but they got hot at the right time. I can tell you people around here are pretty excited about the future, but from a national big picture perspective, the job Sean Miller did and kind of where you think Texas basketball is headed under his watch.
It's certainly headed the right direction. This year was inconsistent, I would say, but that wasn't entirely unexpected given kind of what the preseason expectations were for Texas this season, at least nationally. Anytime you have a new coach coming in, there's going to be a lot of transfer additions and some roster turnover. The key for year one is kind of get a foundation you can build on. And we saw in March, it's a pretty good foundation to build on. Yeah, I know, Tremont Mark is gone and Pope is gone and, kind of the core, the backcourt is gone, but having Vocatitis really emerge as that key piece and that key piece to build year two around, I think says a lot of positive things. And Sean Miller has been a very good coach for a long time now in college basketball, right? I think there was maybe a bit of a question if he had lost his fastball since he left Arizona, because he was solid at Xavier, but didn't necessarily do anything crazy, right? And for most of this season, it was the same kind of deal where it was solid, but nothing crazy. And then you pull off the run that they do, and suddenly it becomes, okay, Purdue needs a buzzer beater, right? Or else we're playing in the Elite Eight again, which is far beyond what anybody thought this Texas team could do, even going back in the preseason. So the momentum is certainly there, and we've seen that translate to the transfer portal as well. So he's kept it rolling, which is a good thing. Now, if they perform well next year as well, then the sky is the limit, I think, given just everything that Texas has and the resources that Texas has and would be available to Sean Miller. So everything, he's checked all the boxes so far right now from what you want to see. Again, I think we're probably got to get through December and January, the first half of next year, before we're really bought in on the entire Sean Miller tenure being phenomenal. But he's done everything you could possibly do to this point to feel really good about the future.
Let me ask you about the guard that's coming, about Johnson. Is this a 6'1", 170 pounder? He can be about 180 in the course of a year. Is he that type of kid that wouldn't mind getting a little bit bigger? Would he feel like he's losing flexibility, or do you just feel like he's just getting stronger and needs to get stronger anyway?
A little bit of both. Like there is some need to get stronger, but a lot of his game is the quickness and the kind of dynamicism of him being able to have a little wiggle with the ball. So you want him to get stronger, but you don't want him to lose any of that either. So it's going to be, kind of finding that perfect balance in the Texas strength and conditioning system.
Because his free throws are pretty good. I mean, he's
a shooter. Yeah, the touch is there, the shooting is there. Again, I think his efficiency numbers will go up because he probably will not have to do as much and carry as much of the load as he did at Colorado. But yeah, he's a high profile player for a reason. Like, you don't get guys who are rated as well as he does, or he has been, coming from a team as bad as Colorado was, without you having some real game. And Isaiah Johnson has some real game.
Love it. Brian Ralph from Basket Under Review joining us. All right, going more national here, Brian. I think the biggest story so far in the college hoops offseason has been North Carolina hiring Mike Malone. And there's other portal stuff and there's other things going on that we could talk about, but very rare to see Carolina ever hire outside of the family. Not only do they do that, but they go outside of college basketball and hire a guy who hadn't coached in college in like 30 years. Your thoughts on that move by UNC, and do you think it's going to work?
I have come around a little bit on this, because the coaching search process for UNC was a little bit all over the place. And the decision to go hire Mike Malone was a little bit of a panic move for North Carolina. He had already said no to them, first of all. But with the portal opening, as that kind of came closer, they did not want to wait around for Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan wanted to coach to the end of the NBA regular season before making a decision. And UNC for a little bit said they were going to be okay with that as they checked some of the college options off, right? And then it got closer and they decided they didn't really want to wait anymore. So that's one of the reasons why Mike Malone got such a big offer. I think he's making like $8 million a year, is because they wanted to make him say yes. There was some panic there, which he's a really good coach, NBA champion coach, really good with the X's and O's, right? So you're not going to knock them there. My concern was somebody who hasn't been around college basketball for a while. You're going to need to give him a lot of resources and support around him to really make it work, to have him understand the portal, understand the recruiting scene, understand all those things that if you haven't been in college, you need somebody to kind of help you along. And North Carolina certainly invested under Hubert Davis, but not at the level to where their expectations were. And so that was a question for me is, okay, now that you've thrown $8 million a year at this guy, are you going to do everything else you need to do to get this really awesome X&O coach up to speed and everything else? And they seem to be getting him up to speed with everything else. The support does seem to be there. Like, there is now an influx of resources and cash that North Carolina is pouring into the program that they had not the last real year or two under Hubert Davis. We've seen some of that with the transfer portal additions already. Neo Avdalis is one who they were able to get from Virginia Tech. Really like his upside as a 6'9" point guard. Those guys don't come around very often. Jaron Stevenson's already back. The expectation is that Henry Vasar is going to return. That's not official. We have to see what happens there. And they're in the mix for some other high-profile transfers as well. So I do think like this had the potential to be not a disaster. Malone's too good of a coach for it to be a disaster. Instead of potential for it to not work out pretty quickly if they weren't doing the things behind the scenes they needed to do. But it's been a week. Everything that's happened in the last week indicates that North Carolina is committed to doing everything and more they need to do behind the scenes to make it work.
Interesting. Brian, your thoughts on, everybody seems to run to Billy Donovan first. How close are we to Billy Donovan getting back to college basketball, do you believe, than being where he is and nothing happening for him except for going to the bank, putting a lot of money in the bank?
Oh, did we lose Brian?
It just froze up on us.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was frozen, if you were frozen. Or
No, he is. He'll probably hit that button. He'll come back to us.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, here we go. Now I think now he's moving again. Brian, you got us?
Yeah. Sorry. Love the internet. I think we are. I don't know, to be honest, because there is a little bit of give and take on the Billy Donovan side, to where I think he's going to probably have to be without an NBA job if he's going to take a college job, because
really?
the reason he didn't take the UNC job, not that he wasn't going to take it, but he wanted to coach out the season. Like, he is a very stand by his principles, and one of his things is he's not going to leave a team in the middle of the season. That's something that we've really learned. So he's going to have to be without a team before he's like entertaining a college job at the moment, unless a college job is going to wait for him to finish out a season. Like, I think the UNC thing was a perfect mix of the Bulls are struggling, doesn't really know what his future is going to hold in Chicago. It's North Carolina, because I do think there is probably like 5 jobs he would leave the NBA for to go back to
Oh,
college.
yeah, I mean, one of those 5 will open up eventually here.
Right.
Like I said, and it may not be next year, but over the next 2 years, I got it. Everybody runs to him first. It just seems like he's the guy, and I guess you go to the guy first.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a phenomenal on-court coach. He's had a lot of success at the college level. The reason he left college was because he didn't want to recruit the old style of recruiting. He didn't want to have to go sit in, recruits living rooms for years on end to try and get him and things like that. Now he doesn't have to do that. We always talk about the older coaches who hate the way that the game is changing in college because it's not what they signed up for.
Sure.
The changes have made it more appealing to somebody like Billy Donovan to get back to college because he's not going to do that as much. The more transactional nature of recruiting is more appealing to him, and I think guys like him. But again, I don't think he's coming back unless it's for if Bill Self retires and Kansas is interested, right? Or if Kentucky decides Mark Pope isn't the person and they go after, it would be one of those kind of jobs. I don't think he's coming back for a Wisconsin or something like that. He's coming back for one of the blue blood jobs.
Okay.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Brian Ralph of Basket Under Review joining us here on Bucky and BK. Last one for me, Brian. It's probably a stupid time to ask this question because we're so early into the offseason and really so early into the portal season. But if I asked you right now for who you think the best team is going to be next year, is it Michigan, the defending champs? They got a lot of talented pieces coming back. Duke's got another elite recruiting class coming in. I mean, who do you think? Maybe a couple of teams. Who is expected to be at the top of the Brian Ralph pecking order going into the 2026-2027 college basketball season?
There is some projection involved with a lot of this because rosters are not entirely set. But if Michigan brings back the people who are on the table for them to bring back, Michigan will be right there again. Obviously, we just saw them run through everybody in the country this season. Pretty much they'd be the favorites to run it back. I have not been high on Duke the last couple of years because I didn't think their guard play was good enough. And it's kind of why they lost to Houston and why I blew that lead to UConn was they didn't have guards. The guards they're going to have next season, both with Deron Rippey coming in and who they're in the transfer portal. I don't know who they'll get, but just who they're involved with is going to be the best backcourt and the most dynamic backcourt John Shire has had. So if there is a year for them to break through and John Shire to win his first title, I'm kind of looking at next year as more likely than this past season as the chance to do that. So I'd put Duke up there as well. Arizona's put together another solid roster. I'm also really high on Louisville. I know there's a lot left to be done with Louisville's roster, but I'm very high on Jackson Shelstad, transferred from Oregon. What he can be was not healthy this past season, but he showed some flashes of being phenomenal as a sophomore when he was healthy at Oregon. Him and Flor Badunga, I think, are as good of an inside-out combo as you're going to have in the country. So if they filled the rest of that roster out the way that they expect to with the amount of money that I know that they have available and what Pat Kelsey, what his system wants to be, I think that's a team that is going to shed all of the Pat Kelsey can't win the big one notions that are out there in those narratives. I think they're a team that can make a really, really long run.
I like it. All right, great stuff. Y'all check out Basket Under Review. Brian Ralph doing a great job covering all things college hoops. Kind enough to join us here again. Brian, thanks so much for the time. Continued success, and hopefully we get another chance to chop it up down the line.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
There he goes, Brian Ralph. Make sure y'all follow him on Twitter as well. He is at BRalph33. And very high on what the Longhorns have done so far this offseason. And I'm not lying. He did say he thinks Texas had a very favorable draw in the NCAA tournament. Felt like the Horns had a good shot to reach the Sweet 16. And he likes what Sean Miller has built so far and likes what he is building. And it feels like it could be a pretty special run for this Texas basketball team. But
find another big man in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, they've got more work to do for sure.
Yeah.
And, obviously, the Dalen Swain decision is the biggest one. If Dalen Swain is back, then you really feel like the sky is the limit for this team in year 2. But the problem with the Dalen Swain decision, he has until May 27th to withdraw. You can't wait until May 27th in the transfer portal because all the good players are going to already be gone if you do that. So hopefully Sean Miller has more insight. Maybe Dalen Swain's already told him, hey, I'm out. I'm gone. There's nothing you could do. Or maybe he's like, I'm actually leaning towards coming back. to where at least Miller kind of knows how to play his hand here. But yeah, obviously if Dalen Swain does leave, if he stays in the NBA draft, then you've got a little more money to spend, which is good because it's not tied up for keeping Dalen for another year, but you need another starting forward and you still need a backup big. I think you need a backup point guard, and I still want a white guy who can shoot threes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to be able to, I think 2 of the 3, are probably what you're going to be able to find. You're going to find that white guy that can shoot threes. You're going to find that dude.
Oh, we're everywhere, huh?
Yeah. You're at every gym.
Yeah, just go to Gregory and find a white guy who can make shots. It's that easy.
And hit those threes. Hey, I'm not covering him this time. He's going to make it if you don't cover him.
Yeah, I'd like to find a Cam Heide type, whether he's white or not, it doesn't matter. But just a bigger guy who could stretch the floor a little bit, and someone unlike Cam Heide who can come off the bench and provide a spark for the second unit. And that's what Cam Heide should have done this past season. But
he'll be doing that at the architecture school of architecture or whatever.
He's got that visit to Grand Canyon coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't forget about that.
Wow.
Mario's asking about Milan Momcilovic. I mean, he'd be incredible. There's no chance that guy comes to Texas. He's the Iowa State player. I think he's the 2nd-ranked player in the transfer portal right now. The number 1 guy was Flory Badunga, the Kansas big who just signed with Louisville. You heard Brian talking about him. Momcilovic, like, no chance he comes to Texas. That guy's going to be very expensive, and he kind of plays power forward, and the Longhorns already have a power forward that they spin on with David Punch from TCU. So, yeah, I mean, if Texas ends up with Momcilovic, I'd be the happiest person in the world, and I'd be looking into Final Four tickets for next year already. I'm not even kidding.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
No, I think there's like a 0.1% chance that the Longhorns end up with him. I think at this point, again, you're looking for a 3, and then you're looking for backups. Right now, I would guess Texas's 2 biggest portal additions are the 2 guys that they've already added, and they'll get some other good players. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're going to be shopping at the top like they.
Not the 2. The 2 they got are the guys that they were looking for.
Yeah,
which is a good thing to get the ones that you wanted. And from this point on, now you just kind of build on some depth guys, and they can't be just depth guys that come in. They have to be guys that can really contribute and not set you back when they come into games.
They've been shopping at the Louis Vuitton and Gucci stores so far.
Yes.
Now they might be going towards Marshalls and TJ Maxx and Ross, the rack stores, baby.
Ooh.
But as anybody knows, and you know it better than anyone else, you can find some great deals at those rack stores.
You can find some great deals at Marshalls.
You can find something else at Marshalls too.
Oh, come on, man. You can find it. If you can wait it out, if you can get there at the right time, you'll find a good deal at Marshalls.
Yeah, and I think Texas will find a few good deals from the rack store.
Yeah, I would agree.
I like that. All right, we'll take your thoughts. Good college basketball conversation there with Brian Ralph. By the way, while we're on Texas basketball real quick, before we move on and get to some Longhorn football discussion, Declan Duru entered the portal yesterday. The 4th entrant leaving Texas basketball. That news came out, I think, around late morning, maybe lunchtime. Declan Duru played in just 12 games for the Longhorns this past year, only played 6 total minutes in SEC play. So got in early against some bad non-conference teams. Texas brought him in from Germany, just didn't quite develop, I think, as quickly as they had hoped. Averaged 1.3 points and 1.2 rebounds per game, and again, barely played. So not a major loss by any stretch, but go ahead and mention it.
Yeah, you still got to make up for the player. You need another player.
You need another player. And look,
Yes.
Declan Duru is 6'9". He's a power forward. I mean, Texas had 0 power forward play this past year. And Duru not seeing the floor tells you everything that you need to know about
Absolutely
kind of what this coaching staff thought of him. So we'll see if he goes back over to Europe or he ends up somewhere else here in the States. But yeah, it's now Nick Cody, a.k.a. the Garbage Man. Sim Wilcher, a.k.a. Disaster Waiting to Happen. That's my nickname. That's the only one I came up with. Cam Heide, a.k.a. the Hidden One.
Yes.
Declan, not good enough to have a nickname, Duru.
Not good enough to have a nickname.
Those are the 4 players leaving via the portal, obviously, in addition to all of the graduates and Dalen Swain.
Yes.
All right, we'll get to some.
Dalen Swain will come back no matter what. BK, there's not going to be another player that's going to scare him off if Texas got them. It's not going to be about the player. It's going to be about his future.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, we talked about money a little bit. Like, Dalen Swain was so good last year and was so important for Texas basketball that even if Texas does invest a lot of money in these next couple of weeks to fill out their roster, like expecting that Dalen Swain won't be a part of it, some big money donor is going to fork over the cash to bring Dalen Swain back.
Right.
Like, Chris Del Conte will find somebody who's willing to pay to bring Dalen Swain back for another year, who's like, oh, no, we could maybe be a Final Four team if Dalen Swain is back with everything else that Sean Miller's already added.
Right.
So
Yeah. They won't.
Texas will find a space for Dalen Swain for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, it won't be because of another player costing them too much or a player playing the position that he plays. No, there's not anybody any more important. And if that guy says he's coming back, you don't say, well, no, you can't come back. We don't have a room for you. No, we got room for you.
Yeah, you make room for him.
Right.
And, I mean, Dalen Swain's second-team All-SEC should have been first-team All-SEC. It's a joke that he wasn't. But we're talking about a guy who, if he does come back for his senior season, he'll be on preseason All-America teams.
For sure.
As we get close to the year. So, yeah, you find a spot for him. And, man, it'd be awesome if he decided to come back. But
boy, would it ever.
Again, because of the weird timing, he has over a month to make his decision. And the combine isn't until May 10th, so he's not anywhere close to making his decision, you would think. All of the good portal players are going to be gone by well before then. So, yeah, Sean Miller, he's got to operate thinking like, all right, Dalen Swain's not going to be here, so what do we need to replace him?
Yeah, he's a plus. He's a plus if he decides to come back.
Yeah, well said. Plus if he decides to come back. All right, we'll take your thoughts. The Coda text line, 512-222-9328. The YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch live chats are rocking and rolling as well. We'll get into some Longhorn football conversation as we've reached the final week of spring practice. How about some trend lines, some extremely positive takeaways that I've heard about this team pretty much throughout the spring that has me excited for 2026. Awesome. But before we dive into that, Buck, how about another round of sponsor shout-outs?
Folks, there's something special about folks that live in the state of Texas. They're built different, and they don't back down, and they don't look the other way when folks need help. And that's what the RIDE project is all about. It's our friend Matt King. He is going to help people all over the country, not just in the state of Texas, but everywhere. It's a 2,000-mile ride from Mexico all the way to Canada. And this is about to take place. So he's going to need some help in doing that. He's going to raise $1 million, and he's going to give $1 million away along the route, along the journey, along the 2,000-mile journey. He's going to give that money away to different communities and different folks in need in this country. And that's quite the undertaking that he's going to do. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for an individual. It's a lot of work for a company, but he's powered by a group called Gobundance, and he's excited about doing it. It's coming close, and he still needs your help. So go to therideproject.com and give whatever you can give to help him. This is kind of a dream for Matt. I mean, he's had a lot of things that he's done, BK, that he's been successful doing. But this, I think, probably is one of his biggest dreams. It would be my biggest dream forever to go 2,000 miles on a bike and help folks out around the country. So this is a big undertaking for him, but he's excited about doing it, and we want to help him along the way, folks.
Yeah, we have different dreams. I don't dream about physical activity. I dream about, Texas winning national championships.
That's one of your dreams.
Those are my dreams right there. But Matt King is a better guy than I am. And, it's an incredible mission. They're over $300,000 raised already. And you can be a part of something great. TheRideProject.com for more information. They're also looking for some supporting partners. If you want to get your logo, like on the gear that he's going to be rocking, your business, and you want to be a part of this great cause, therideproject.com, again, for more information. Shout out to them. Also, a shout out to Early Bird CBD. Golf day today, Buck?
Tomorrow, man. We're doing it
Tomorrow's the
tomorrow.
golf day this week, so that means
Yeah,
the Buck
man.
will be downing an early bird CBD gummy at some
Absolutely.
point soon. And I love early bird CBD gummies too. I mean, both of us are hooked on these things. I take them to unwind. I take them to relax. At the end of a long day, they become a Friday night staple for me, right? I'm just chilling, taking it easy, watching sports, maybe watching a movie, just hanging out, relaxing, popping early bird CBD. The movies are funnier. The sports are more enjoyable. The food tastes a little better. And I also sleep like a freaking baby.
Nice.
And like one of those good babies. A lot of babies cry in the middle of the night. I don't know if I actually get that expression. I feel like babies don't always sleep that well. I sleep like I'm dead.
That's even better.
How's that?
Sleep
Right
like you're dead. Hey, sleep like you're having surgery. That's how I always feel.
there it is.
I have one of those. If I have one of those early birds, if I go to sleep, it's like somebody's doing surgery on me. I don't remember a thing.
It's a great night's sleep. But that's what Early Bird CBD is all about. It's a local Austin company. They make products designed to make you feel good. It's CBD, but all of their gummies and tinctures are infused with a microdose of THC. So unlike the other CBD products that maybe someone at a mall tried to sell you on, this stuff is legit. You are going to feel the difference. Earlybirdcbd.com. That's their website. And use the promo code Bucky, and you're going to get 20% off your first order.
Yes, indeed. I'll have one so that I won't feel the pain the next day after a round of golf. And if you're, I don't care whether you're doing, if you're the guy doing the lawn at your own house and you don't have a company, you're out there with the lawnmower and you feel those pains. There's no reason to feel pain the next day. Take one of these early birds and you'll feel fantastic the next day. And by the way, it works for more than just the day after. It goes into that second and third day of feeling great afterwards too.
Yeah, make sure your boss doesn't drug test you because
Yeah.
you'll fail
Or
that
your
drug test.
boss at the house who told you to get out and cut that grass is probably not going to drug test you anyway.
I don't think the lawn care teams are drug testing. I don't know how many workers they'd have if they were drug tested.
Oh, my goodness.
To be honest with you. Shout out to Early Bird. Also a shout out to centextickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets, hey, we've got a Texas baseball game tonight at the Dish. If you want to catch that game, Centex Tickets has you covered. Of course, the Longhorns will be playing a home series this weekend against Alabama. You're looking for seats, centextickets.com. The NBA playoffs, the Spurs and the Rockets, they will get going this weekend. Stanley Cup playoffs will get going this weekend. If you want to head up to the Metroplex or down to Houston or down to San Antonio to catch a game, Centex Tickets has you covered. Don't forget to use our promo code Centex10. If you type that in at checkout, you're going to get 10% off of any purchase from our great friends at centextickets.com.
Love them.
All right, let's open up hour two, diving into some Texas football conversation here. As we've reached the final week of spring ball, 3 practices left. I guess one today, and one on Thursday, and then one on Saturday. And everything wraps up with the open practice fan day coming your way this Saturday at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. I'm a poet, and I didn't even realize it. Some trend lines, some themes, some things that I have heard enough throughout the last month and change to feel like they are completely true without a shadow of a doubt. Positive themes, positive takeaways, trend lines, if you will, coming out of Texas spring ball. I think I've got 7 of them here, Buck. We'll start with this one. The overall talent on this roster is very high. Like, there is not a single person that I've talked to who has attended a spring practice and or a spring scrimmage who has walked away saying anything other than, this is the most physically gifted team that Texas has had in a long time.
Very athletic team.
They look big. They're athletic. There's talent across the board. And it's not just top-end talent. Like, we know there's some top-end talent. This team might have 4 or 5 first-round picks next April. But there's also depth across the board. And it's, again, across the board. There have been some areas in some years where, some areas, that's the way I wanted to say it, where Texas has had high-end talent in certain spots and depth in certain spots, but they haven't really had it across the board. And you're thinking, okay, if somebody at this position goes down, we're in trouble, or even our starters at that position aren't very good, and we hope that doesn't get exposed. It just doesn't seem like that's the case for this 2026 roster, Buck.
Yeah, I mean, if they have position talent, that's incredible. And that means you're at least 3 deep with guys that can come in. Your third guy and your second guy come in and you don't miss a beat.
Yeah, and I think that's what Texas has. I think they've assembled a roster that is as talented as one that we've seen around here in a long time. And again, it's not just one or two people who have told me this or one or two insider sites that I've read this from. It's pretty much a constant theme from the spring. And
if you're somebody who's viewing them practice and you get an opportunity to go by and you're saying to yourself, "Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy?" I mean, that gets to mean that you got a pretty talented team where people are noticing guys that aren't the big name guys. They have a list of, they go, here's who I want to go see. The next thing you know, a certain number shows up and you're going, well, who's number 26? Who the hell is that guy?
Yeah.
Who's making all these plays? If they got a bunch of those guys, that's incredible.
I think that's the reaction a lot of Longhorn fans are going to have this Saturday, right?
Wow.
When the general public gets to see this team for the first time. There's going to be some newcomers, some transfers, some freshmen, just some guys who've gotten bigger, faster, and stronger from last year who are back from last year's team, who I think there's going to be some oohs and ahs and some wows from this crowd this weekend. I think there's a couple of guys who sort of separate themselves, and we just continue to hear great things about both Cam Coleman and Colin Simmons. Like those are the two athletic freaks on this roster. There's a ton of great athletes and a ton of studs all across the roster. But look, Arch Manning hasn't done a lot in the spring. Trevor Gooseby hasn't done a lot.
We know what they are, yes.
Two guys who have been out there pretty much every single day in spring practice have been Colin Simmons and Cam Coleman. And we also know what they are. I know Cam Coleman's new, but I think by this point, everybody knows enough about Cam Coleman. We saw what he did during his 2 years at Auburn. And then Colin Simmons might be the best defensive player in the country. When you have playmakers / weapons on both sides of the ball, like those two guys, and those dudes are just different. And you can game plan to try to slow those dudes down, but I don't know if you can really stop what those guys are all about.
No, those guys beat you every other play. And that hurts.
Not for us.
No, not if you're on the good side.
Yeah, we're on the good side right there. We're looking for some hurt for other teams.
Yeah, they don't take plays off. They want to. They're up in their level every time they step on the field, and they must be like that at practice. I mean, that's how you get to be the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Simmons is a guy who could coast this year. Like he could just have an average season, and he would still end up as a first-round pick in the 2027 NFL draft. It doesn't sound like he's doing that at all. Like he is working his tail off in practice. I mean, Sark has told us a couple of different times, like Colin Simmons can wreck practice if he would let him. There was apparently a practice last week where Colin Simmons had 6 sacks in one practice. Some guys will go an entire spring without that type of production. So Colin Simmons, it's a contract year for him. Last year of college football, we know he has 2 years left of eligibility. He's not using them both. But he's not like, yeah, I'm good. I can relax a little bit. I'm making my NIL money, and I'm going to be a first round. No, he is like ramping it up to 11 this offseason. And that's
he's just taking his status of where he's going to be in the first round next year.
Yeah, I mean, he could be – there are people who think if he was in this year's draft, he could be a top 3 to 5 pick. So if he has another really strong season, I mean, he led the SEC in sacks with 12 in 2025. If he leads the conference in sacks again, then he could very well end up as a top 5 draft pick in 2027, which, I mean, Arch Manning could be there too. Texas could have 2 top 5 picks in 27, and then there's Cam Coleman on top of that, which he could end up going very high too. But that's another guy, kind of a similar conversation. He's got the element of being new to Texas, so trying to impress this coaching staff and the guys in this locker room. But with the amount of money that guy got from Texas to come here, he's another dude who could sort of coast this year and still be a very high pick. And it sounds like he is doing the exact opposite of that. He is putting in the work, and he has been a total difference maker as a player, but also as a leader already at practice.
Well, when you got some of these young receivers that are here, this is what you want to see. This is the kind of example you want to see from a guy who's already making good money here, a guy who's going to be a first-round draft choice if he stays healthy enough. But he just does it all the time. I mean, that's why these guys are good. It's because they don't coast.
They don't coast. No, you're right. And big things expected from both of them. And they just, again, on a team full of freaks, those guys look a little freakier
Yes.
than anybody else. And we got to be careful with my phrasing on that. But I think everyone knows what I
Phrasing,
mean.
please.
Yeah, there you go. Number 3, Bo Masco, the Rutgers transfer cornerback. Like, he may go down as the steal of this portal class. I don't know if he's going to be the best player in the portal class. We just talked about Cam Coleman. You've got Rasheem Biles. I mean, there are a ton of other really talented pieces that the Longhorns brought in. But this isn't a guy who's just going to play. This is a guy who's going to start from day one, and he might be the best cornerback on this team. And because he played at Rutgers, not a lot of people pay attention to Rutgers football. I don't know if anybody even knew who Bo Masco was before he ended up signing with Texas. I don't think there was a lot of general excitement when that pickup happened. But this guy, I mean, his teammates, his coaches, everybody talks about him with a extremely positive tone. And he has been praised pretty much from the moment he got here. I think Texas found a nice sort of diamond in the rough with Bo Masco.
I mean, even the Longhorns weren't expecting them to be this good.
I don't think so. I don't think it's just the fans. Like, I think Texas thought they were getting a good corner who was going to compete, like, to be a starter. But I don't think
or a depth guy, and all of a sudden he's that good, huh?
Yeah, and it's, again, I would be stunned if he's not a starting corner. Sounds like he's been rotating inside, playing some nickel as well. Like, he and Grayson Littleton are sort of cross-training at both of those positions, so you get some versatility there.
Sure.
He's been a ball hawk. He only had 2 interceptions in the last 2 years at Rutgers. So that's another thing that's shown up in practice that I don't think this coaching staff expected. He has been all over the place in terms of takeaways, and the Longhorns are looking for more of that. That's why Will Muschamp is here, trying to create more of those game-changing plays on that side of the football. And sounds like Bo Masco is doing a lot of that right now.
That is great news.
Yeah, and then I think this whole portal class as a whole, I mean, we just continue to rave about all of these guys. It's Masco, it's Coleman. I mean, you've got the 2 running backs. You've got Melvin Siani. You've got Rasheem Biles. Like, Texas might have landed 7, 8 starters from the portal, and I'm not even including the kicker, punter, and long snapper. If you throw those guys in, because all 3 of them are likely to start, then you've got double-digit starters that you added from the portal, which Texas hit the portal harder this year than they did last year. And I'd argue harder this year than any year in the Steve Sarkisian era. Sounds like they didn't just go after stars and hope. They had a plan, and these guys are living up to it.
Well, and they, not only that, they're talented, but they're fitting what your needs were too.
Yeah. And then not even the starters, right? I mean, Ian Jaffard, who the defensive tackle, we talked about him yesterday, big 380-pounder. Like, he's going to have an important role on this team. Sterling Burkhalter, the Wake Forest wide receiver transfer. You know, everyone's talking about Cam Coleman. You should. But the other receiver Texas brought in, this guy who had 30 catches at the Power 4 level in 2025. Like, those guys who might not even fit into the starting lineup are pushing for serious playing time. Juice Cryer at linebacker, like, look, it was a highly rated class. It was supposed to be good, but the consensus is that it is living up to the hype and then some.
Well, I hope we get to see some guys run around on Saturday. You know, you don't have to see a game. You can see them. You can see just by the way they move when you check them out there at Fan Day on Saturday. Whatever it's going to look like, you're going to get to see a lot of things happen.
Yeah, and Sark told us, I mean, there's going to be some game-like settings. There's going to be some red zone work. There's going to be some 11-on-11 team drills. So it'll be – I have faith that it will be entertaining, and I also have faith that at some point the scoreboard is going to be on keeping track of points.
They'll do some stuff if they've got new punters and kickers. They'll do some stuff in the special teams where they end up kicking about 4 or 5 field goals that you'll want to see.
That's pretty
they're not going to rush anybody, but –
You had me excited, and then you're talking about kickers and punters.
They do that when you have a new kicker and a new punter. They're going to do that. They're going to showcase those people.
Yeah, they're not. We'll see them do something, but just make like 1 or 2 of them. I don't need to see 4 or 5.
Whatever you do, just make them all.
Hey, like get Shimento, the punter, out there, have him coffin corner at one time, pin it inside the 5-yard line, and I've seen all I need to see from the punter. Yeah. Hey, long snapper, give me a snap back to the punter, a snap to the kicker. Let Gianni Spedic, your Memphis transfer kicker, let him bury a 48-yarder, and then I'm good.
Call it a day. That's it. That's all you want to see of them.
I'm going Tom Herman on this one. Get the punter and kicker. I shouldn't even call them out by name. Get the punter and kicker off the field. Give me the offense and the defense. Give me the real guys, please. I want to see all the specialists during the fan day.
You got to showcase your specialists.
Yeah, well, I'd rather see pretty much everybody else.
Except for them. You're right.
Except for them. We will see them at some point. But yeah, I'm more excited about, I think, just about every other position on the team than kicker, punter, and long snapper. But those guys will get some.
You'll be caring about them on a Monday morning when we're talking about a snap to the right or a snap to the left.
Yeah, of course I care about. I want them to be good. I don't need to see them practice. I need them to be practicing so they make their kicks and punt the ball well in the actual game.
If you see them down at another field outside the stadium, you're okay.
Yeah, you know what? That's what they should do, right? The practice fields, Dennis Fields. If you want to watch the kicker and punter, those guys will be working there. If you want to watch,
that should be plenty for everybody.
If you want to watch the guys that you actually got out of bed and came down to campus to watch, then we got you inside DKR TMS.
Nice.
Other positive trend lines here. I mean, Derek Cooper, you and I have talked about him countless times on this show, and it's warranted. We're not the only show that's talking about this guy, the true freshman running back from the state of Florida. Coming into the spring, it was basically an assumption, almost a foregone conclusion. At least that's what it felt like, that Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers were your top two running backs, and there was a pretty decent-sized gap between those transfers and everybody else in that room. But one of the most interesting developments of the entire spring is that, Derek Cooper is that third name, and he has entered the chat with those top two guys. And I think there's going to be a real role for him, even as a true freshman in 2026.
That's awesome.
And I'm not saying he's the next Earl or Ricky or even Bijan, but if he could be Deontay Foreman, and that guy won a Doak Walker Award at Texas.
Yes, he did.
He could be like a Jonathan Brooks type. That guy was first running back off the board in the 23-24 NFL draft. If he can have that type of
if he gets a playing time as a freshman amongst the two guys that he's with that are veteran players, that's a lot.
Maybe that's where we should start before the ceiling.
If he can do that, if he gets in there and he shines in some games where he's the third guy, or a guy gets hurt and he takes the place of a guy, and now a guy's having a hard time getting his place back because of that dude, that's what you're looking for.
100%. And Steve Sarkisian talked about it last week. Derek Cooper has not looked phased at all. This moment and the rise from high school to college, it hasn't bothered him. He's looked like a natural. He's talked about how Derek Cooper just looks physically more advanced than most running backs at this stage in their careers. We're talking about a guy who should be in his second semester of his senior year in high school.
Dude, he's as big as the two guys that are veteran players that are coming out of the portal.
He's bigger.
Yeah.
Now, he's taller and heavier than those two guys.
Yeah, that makes you feel good as it is right there. If you're that kid and you came in with those skills and you have the running skills and the catching skills, and you see those guys, you don't care. You look at a guy who's beside you who's 5'10", 5'11", and you're 2'10", 6'1". You're looking at him going, damn, I can do those things. I can't wait to show you what I can do.
Yeah, 6'1", 205 is what he's listed as right now.
Oh, yeah.
And, I wonder if the plan is for him to put on a few more LBs, maybe.
He just will naturally as a kid who's just getting into a weight program. He will. He'll be a big old son of a gun.
But you bring up a good point. Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, they're not Jags. These guys were first-team all-conference running backs last year and combined for over 2,000 yards in power conferences last year. And Derek Cooper, he's probably third on the depth chart if there was a depth chart to be released right now. But it feels like Texas is going to have three guys that they can trust to give the ball to at running back, which is pretty cool considering how much they lost from the 2025 team.
Yeah, and that kid's just learning how to be a running back at this level. So,
yeah, and obviously,
that's awesome.
Jabbar Jaloop, the new running back coach at Texas, and this he's obviously working with the 2 transfers too, but those guys are pretty good already.
Right.
So I think the first real development piece that we'll learn about Jabbar Jalouk and how good he is as a running back coach is going to be based on how Derek Cooper looks.
Oh, for sure.
Not only this year, but throughout his Texas Longhorn career. But again, I mean, we've heard his name so much from so many different people inside and outside the locker room. He has forced his way into the conversation. And I think the expectation now is for him to have a role this fall and, of course, this Saturday as well. And then, defensively, this defense is fast. Like they are noticeably faster. Everything I've heard is that they are noticeably faster than what they were. And Rasheem Biles is a freak athlete. Bo Masco can move. We know what Colin Simmons is as an athlete. Jelani McDonald, we know what he's about. This is a more explosive group. And with a more explosive defensive coordinator and Will Muschamp calling the shots. I feel like you usually save the word explosive talking about the offense, but Texas has guys who can fly around, who can make plays, who can create turnovers. This defense is going to be fast. I think they're going to be aggressive. And that speed is something that has been talked about by a lot of folks who have seen this team work in the last month and change.
Well, I mean, on the inside for me in that linebacker area, that's where I thought they really needed to show some explosiveness. And if they're doing that from the guys that they got, that's going to be good, because I think on the defensive front, they're going to be fine. Secondary, it sounds like they're going to be fine, but you're just worried about losing a couple guys, losing a linebacker or two. Oh, they weren't great, but if you've got more explosive guys at linebacker, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and linebacker is another one of those positions, right? Running back on offense, linebacker on defense, where Texas just got destroyed in terms of attrition. Anthony Hill off to the NFL, Trey Moore off to the NFL, Leonga Lafau off to Colorado in the portal. Those were your 3 top linebackers a season ago. And you've got Anthony Smith back, who played a bunch last season, and he was great in that bowl game against Michigan. But it was like, okay, what are we going to do? What else do we have? Rasheem Biles is an All-American caliber player. Juice Cryer showing some juice, no pun intended. Tyler Atkinson, the 5-star recruit that you signed. I mean, all 3 of your linebacker signees look like they have something to them. But, yeah, I think Texas did about as good of a job as they realistically could have done, considering all that departed.
Yes.
In making sure that not only is linebacker not going to be a weakness for this team, but it could very well be a strength.
That's true.
When we get to the fall. So I'm
and they
liking
may end up having more depth than you thought they would have,
I think so. Yeah. And again, Tyler Atkinson, the 5-star, like he's the guy everyone has been talking about pretty much from the second he committed to Texas. But Kosi Okpala and Rocky Cummings, stash those names in the back of your mind, Buck. These are the other 2 signees for Texas. 4-star players. They're not total nobodies.
Right.
But those guys have also been making a lot of plays. And that's rare when you sign 3 or more players at a certain position in a recruiting class and you feel like all of them hit. It's why you'll sign like 5 or 6 offensive linemen. It's like, they're not all going to hit. Let's make sure
we get 2 guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Like let's add more. We've got a bunch of scholarships, especially now with 105 versus 85. But let's give us a little margin for error. Let's add a couple of more pieces, because we know odds are it ain't going to work out for everybody. I know it's spring ball. I know it's semester 1, but it really sounds like the 3 linebackers that Texas added here in 2026 are all at some point down the line. Atkinson's the guy who's going to play the most this year as a true frosh, but at some point down the line, I think we could be looking back in like 28 or 29 and saying, oh, like, damn, we got all these dudes in one class.
Yeah, you're right. That's what you want to be saying. You're exactly right. Those guys are in this class, all 3 of those dudes.
I think the future of that, I mean, the short term is great, but you're losing Rasheem Biles after this year. You're losing Juice Cryer after this year, maybe Anthony Smith too, because he'll be draft eligible. But you've got a lot of talented pieces waiting in the wings if you have big time roster turnover at linebacker again next off season.
No doubt.
Which is obviously really, really good. And then last but not least, I mean, here's the biggest one. Part of me says it's saving the best for last, but it's really saving the worst for last. The offensive line. I mean, hearing good things about the offensive line, which is better than the alternative. I don't know if anybody believes it, but the offensive line is trending up Melvin Ciani, coming in from Wake Forest, has looked the part, shifting over to right tackle. Brandon Baker has seemingly done a good job with the change inside from right tackle to right guard. Connor Robertson anchoring things at center. Now, Trevor Gooseby hasn't done much, and Lawrence Seymour isn't here. But because those guys are not with the team right now, or not practicing with the team right now, some young guys are getting more work. And I'm very scared to buy in, Buck, but the reports about the offensive line has been very positive, and people feel like the Longhorns are a lot better there this year than they were at this time last year.
Well, I would hope so.
Bar's pretty low.
Yeah, the bar wasn't very high. The bar is pretty low. So, yeah, I would hope guys with just another year under their belt, a lot of guys getting some real, experience. They're going against now they're going against a defense that's a little bit different, maybe a little bit faster. This only helps you out more right here. With the new defensive scheme in, this is going to make you good, or you're going to either swim or you're going to sink.
Yeah. And I mean, you want to get to the point where you have 7 or 8 offensive linemen that you feel good about.
Yes.
Look, everybody gets hurt, but it feels like those guys tend to get injured more than just about anybody else on the field.
Yeah, when they get wounded, they get limp and lame, and they don't move as well, and you can't have that. You can't have that drop off from guys.
I like to ask for a lot in this life. I'd like to ask for that, but can they just get 5? Because last year they had 2 to 3 offensive linemen that were like really good enough. We're talking about championships here. So there were like DJ Campbell was an adequate, like slightly above average guard last year. Cole Hudson, adequate left guard last year. But this is a team that has championship or bust aspirations this year.
Yeah, you got to be being on that offensive line, you got to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick. You have to be that type of player.
You can't have 2 or 3 offensive linemen where you're like, you just hope that they're going to have a good game.
No.
Trevor Gooseby is a dog. Melvin Ciani, I think, is a dog. You got to find – look, Connor Robertson's solid. He's a stalwart at center. But
they've survived with centers before that they'd always been trying to get rid of it, and they did a fine job.
Right. So I think Connor Robertson's going to do a fine job there. But, again, there were 2 offensive linemen, maybe really 1, that every Saturday you knew was going to play well. And you don't want to have that in 2026.
Or you worried more about who they were playing against, the defense, than what they were going to be offensively. You're like, hope they're playing against that guy. Hope that guy's not having a good game.
Dude, they got punked by 4-8 Florida. It didn't matter. Yeah. I mean, they got pushed around by UTEP in the non-con.
Yeah, they did not run the ball. Remember, let's not forget how they ran the football.
I'm not going to forget. It's the worst running attack Texas has had since 1944. I'm not going to forget that ever. I wish I could, but that's etched into my brain. And the play from 2 years ago was the freaking strip sack fumble and the whole goal line sequence against Ohio State. The one thing I'm going to remember last year is it's the worst running game Texas has had since World War II. That's what's going to stick with me. So, yeah, the offensive line has to be better. I think most Longhorn fans are like you and me, to where it's, okay, September 5th against Texas State, that's when we'll make our judgments on the big uglies up front. Heck, for some people, it's like, I don't care if they maul Texas State. What do they do against Ohio State? Because, again, we're talking about national championships. Ohio State's a team that's won that, and they're always in the mix. So
it'll be, that first game is a nice little opener and have some fun. Go to the stadium, look at some new players. Everybody gets a chance to play. But it's the following week where it's gonna really matter.
I'll say this. I mean, yes, but the offensive line better look good in game 1.
Well, yeah, they'll look good against Texas State.
They didn't look good in their crappy non-con games last year.
They'll run the ball, or they'll run the ball. That I would expect those 2 runners to have, even if things aren't open, those guys will have a good time. That run game will be different.
Yeah. Last year,
plus, I think they've got a much improved running back coach too. So
last year, Texas averaged 4 yards a carry against UTEP, and the numbers were only that high because Matthew Caldwell had a 14-yard run off the bench late in the game. So, yeah, I don't know. Now I'm being overly negative, but
Yeah, and I like for them to be able to just run when they want to run.
yeah, and
I
they
mean,
could.
and even in week 2, that we don't have to see them drop back and pass and try to trick them. That no, this 2.5 yards, we're getting that with our guys. We're getting it no matter who we run over or who we run at. We're going to get that. We got the kind of ball carriers and the offensive line to get 2.5 yards, things
They
like
did.
that. I don't want to see them struggle in short yardage and all that kind of stuff.
I will say this against Ohio State last year, there weren't a lot that went right for the Texas offense, but they did run it for 166 yards in that game
Yeah,
as a
I mean,
team.
and I didn't expect that for sure.
No, I didn't either. The problem was Arch Manning was so bad that he couldn't hit water falling out of a boat. So that's why
No.
Texas only scored 7 points. But they run it like that against the Buckeyes this year with what we know Arch Manning is this year, then things should be a lot better. And the result should be a lot more enjoyable for Texas fans here at
Well, it
home.
sounds like they're having an exciting spring so far. So
Yeah, it has been. And we're winding down to the end. And again, the weather permitting, Gen Pop will get the opportunity to see it. I'll be out there on Saturday. Hope to run into a bunch of you people this weekend. You making it out there for the first time? And
I could make it out there.
that's a no.
That's not a no yet. That's not a definite no.
Okay. All right. I feel like you got some gardening to do on Saturday. I don't know if or kids t-ball or soccer or
Oh, I'll
something.
definitely have that. There's makeup from all that rain last week and all that other stuff. I got makeup games to go. We'll just see.
Yeah, you tell the parents of those children that, sorry, rain canceled it. That means I'm canceling it.
There you go.
I ain't doing it.
I got to look at my grandkids. I know who their parents are, so I have to be around for my grandkids. That's why I'm doing all these healthy things. I know who their mom and dads are.
That's good. Yeah, I'm glad you know the parents of your grandchildren.
Yes, I know them well. I wouldn't know them well enough to know that I need to be around.
That's very good. All right, we'll take your thoughts. The code at text line 512-222-9328. What are you most excited to see this Saturday? But again, some very positive storylines, trend lines, themes, whatever word you want to use that I've heard coming out of the spring for Texas.
I'll know this. I want to see what the quarterbacks, if I'm there, I want to see what the quarterbacks I mean, I know what Arch Manning is. I need to see what these other dudes are all about.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We'll talk more about that as we get closer to Saturday. I wonder if we see Arch in any capacity. He hasn't been doing a lot of 11-on-11 stuff in practice, but will he at least be out there for 7-on-7 drills or something? I think so. I don't think Sark's going to rob us of the opportunity of watching QB1, but you're right. I mean, team stuff, it'll be more KJ Lacey and Diabell and MJ Morris. And those first 2 names, one of those guys is likely the heir apparent to Arch Manning. So,
anybody that any kind of unit where you're able to somebody miss somebody and they step on his foot or something like that, it's probably we'll drop back on 7-on-7 and let him play around and throw some balls, guys. I would expect you to see a bunch of that.
Yeah. I think Lacey, I think the other quarterbacks are going to do some real team drill stuff. Now,
they'll be
wearing
for sure
non-contact jerseys as you always do in the spring. But yeah, I mean, KJ Lacey threw 1 pass last year in his first year on campus, and Diabell's a true freshman. So the general public has not really seen either of those guys throw the football. And that's definitely something we're all excited about. Look, not rushing through the 2026 season because we're very excited about that. But Texas football fans, we're not here for 1 year. We're here for the long haul. So what does the future of the most important position on the field look like? We're going to learn a little bit. And it sounds like both of those guys have had a great spring, which is obviously great news. All right. We'll get to some more Texas football conversation. A little NBA chatter. The play-in starts tonight. Yeah, baby. And the real playoffs start this weekend. A little Major League Baseball conversation coming your way. We've got the BBK news and why today's not so bad as well. But before we go any further, how about another round of sponsor shout-outs?
Folks, our friends at Hat Creek Burger, of course, will always be a place with good food, good folks, and, of course, good fun. It's just that simple. And they're proud to be a place where you can come in hungry and, of course, leave full and fulfilled. Hat Creek Burger Company has over 30 locations in the Texas area, great playgrounds for the kids, and happy hour for the adults. And, folks, they have burgers, fries, and shakes. BK's telling me about the great the fries that they're having right now. I'm going to get me some queso fries. That will be tomorrow. Golf day tomorrow. before I play golf, I'm going to have a big hat, strawberry shake, queso fries,
Oof.
and then I'm going to go walk on that golf course. Now we're talking.
You're
Yes,
not going to make it through the third hole if you're eating all of that.
I've got to. I'm going to have breakfast, and then I'm going to have some Hat Creek burgers, some of those fine burgers just before I play. Just one burger. I said like I'm going to have fine burgers, like I'm going to eat 2 of them. I'm going to have the big hat tomorrow before I play. And I'm going to have the queso fries because you told me I need to go with that. So I'm going to go. And folks, you can pick out whatever you want. Mom and Dad, you can have your happy hour while the kids play at the playscape. It is great. Once again, I'm even going to throw this out here. You get one of those cold mornings and it's not quite as warm as you think it is before noon. You can go with chili at Hat Creek Burger too. I'm finding out the chili's, I've had the chili even when it's been 80 degrees, BK. I've gone for chili because I love chili. I used to be that other place's chili guy, but now that I've had the Hat Creek chili, that's me now. I'm all about the onions and the cheese added to it.
I love it. Can't go wrong.
No, you cannot. You can't go wrong at Hat Creek Burger Company for sure.
No, they are the absolute best. Shout out to Hat Creek. Also a shout out to the Big Q, our new sponsors, Qualis Roofing and Construction. If your roof was damaged by any of the recent storms, and it sounds like we've got some more storms coming up, you got to reach out to our friends and the best roofers in Central Texas. That is Qualis Roofing and Construction. Don't just take my word for it. They've got more than 700 5-star reviews online. They're not fly-by-night. I know they're new to us, but they didn't just start like this past weekend. Oh, it rained, so now no. These guys have been around for a long, long time. They know what to do with your roof. And look, insurance companies recommend you get your roof looked at twice a year. They say that's a little ridiculous. Just once a year, get your roof inspected, make sure everything's okay so nothing goes wrong when you least expect it. And they offer free roof inspections at Qualis Roofing and Construction. You're going to get a free Longhorn t-shirt from our friends at Sue Patrick. How about that deal? If you get a free roof inspection from Qualis, they are going to hook you up with a Texas Longhorn t-shirt from our friends at Sue Patrick. So really, there's no risk in having them come out, check on your roof, make sure it's safe for you and your family. And also, if you get a roof replacement, they're going to hook you up with either a Traeger smoker or a Blackstone grill. They are the best at what they do. Free inspections, free storm damage assessments. They can help you guide the insurance process. They can handle everything for your roof. QualisGC.com is their website, or you can give them a call at 512-257-0033, 512-257-0033, or go to QualisGC.com.
And of course, our friends over at Sue Patrick. I hope we're going to be there this week. Will we be there?
Yes.
Friday?
I got to confirm with Jay, but Thursday or Friday before Fan Day, we'll be out there.
Yeah, and speaking of T-shirts, they've got them all at Sue Patrick. Tomorrow I'll be wearing, of course, I'll be wearing one of my Sue Patrick hats along with one of the golf polos. And, you know, Mother's Day, Father's Day, just around the corner, kids. Think of mom and dad. Think of Sue Patrick. Think of getting dad one of those nice ball caps that they have over at Sue Patrick. Online orders of $59 or more, free curbside pickup, plenty of parking spaces at 5222 Burnett Road. And ladies, all your wonderful prints are out there for the spring. All the colors are out for the spring. Shorts are there. Shoes are there for you. Slippers. They've got it all at Sue Patrick. For more information, of course, Jellycat headquarters. For more information, go to SuePatrick.com for more information, folks.
For more information,
50 years of service at Sue Patrick.
Sue Patrick.
And all sizes.
They got you covered. All shapes and all sizes.
Yes, they do.
All shapes, you people.
No, don't think that. Don't say that because Jay will be thinking you're talking about him.
I'm not talking about Jay. I'm talking about you people.
You people. Okay.
Jay,
all you people.
All you people. Jay might be one of you people.
No, Jay just uses XL. That's all he needs.
There
He's
you go.
Big man. That's it.
Hey, you know who's part of you people?
Who's a part of you people?
Tom McKay.
Yes, he is.
It's a big day. Today's Tom McKay's birthday.
Wow.
So
happy 75th birthday, Tom.
If you want to give the best gifts you could possibly give to our guy Tom McKay over at Audiovisual Consultations, then you just call AV Consultations and tell him you want to upgrade your home TV setup. He would love that. That would make for the best birthday he's ever had. If you say, you know what, I hear BK talk about his 4-screen man cave. I want one of those at my place. Or I hear the Buck talk about his 85-inch screen or the frame TV that he has at his place. I want that at my place. Or I hear you guys talk about all the home theater rooms and the surround sound speakers or the patio TV set. I hear about you all the time. And you know what? It's your birthday, Tom. So I'm going to call today and get on the schedule. He'd love that. It's the best birthday gift you can give a guy. He's the man. Tom McKay, happy birthday, my friend. avconsultations.com. Give him a call, 512-255-8678. Look, it's going to feel like your birthday when you upgrade your home TV setup.
For sure.
You're not just taking care of Tom. You're taking care of yourself and your family because your house is going to be way more enjoyable to watch the sports, the movies, the TV shows all year long. They've been in business since 1988. Tom McKay's been alive since 1888, and he will take care of you. Again, 512-255-8678, or find out more online at avconsultations.com.
Love it.
All right, let's dive into a little NBA conversation here, Buck. The play-in tournament starts tonight. You've got 2 games tonight and 2 more tomorrow. The real playoffs will start on Saturday, but one of the games tonight is for the 7 seed in the West, meaning San Antonio Spurs fans will be paying close attention because they will get the winner of tonight's matchup between the Portland Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns in the desert. The Suns are 3.5-point favorites, Buck. Do you have any gold star lock for the play-in?
150,000 units on the Suns tonight.
150K?
Yes.
On the Suns?
Yes.
Minus 3.5?
That's exactly right. Start you out right for the NBA season. Yes. Hey, I do it for football. I might as well do it for college basketball. I might as well do it for the NBA. 150.
Well, you usually get off to horrible starts, so now I'm a little concerned about the Suns' chances.
Take it to the bank.
Should I ask why you're picking Phoenix?
They've already beat up on Portland before. They beat on the Trailblazers. They win. They've covered at over 60, I think close to 64 to 68% rate. They've been covering teams that they play out of their conference.
Nice. Did you just make that up, or did you actually have that?
I'm trying to make some money for the people. I didn't just make that up. Just go with it. Buy it. Buy into it. In conference play, covered over 60% of the time this year.
I like that. Well, the Suns did beat the Blazers in 2 of 3 regular season matchups that they played. So I guess, hey, that's over 60%. So you're right. Yes. Well done there, my friend. I like Phoenix tonight as well. I mean, and if you're the Spurs.
Now I'm scared.
Oh, right. Because of my pick. Well, yeah, maybe you should be. I think if you're the Spurs are going to be heavily favored against either of these teams in the first round.
For sure.
And they should be. But I think you'd rather have Portland win. I just think Phoenix is better. They've got more star power.
Well, they've got better guards, for sure.
Players that present more problems than Portland does. I mean, the Blazers are a nice story. They've been playing really well down the stretch. They've won 10 of their last 14 games to get into this 7 versus 8 play-in game. But Phoenix has Devin Booker, who's one of the best scorers in the league. And Phoenix also has Dylan Brooks, who is a pain in the ass. I mean, a total pest, annoying as all get out. There aren't a lot of players who can defend Victor Wembanyama. Nobody can really stop him. But Dylan Brooks is one of the better Wemby slowers in the league, despite being significantly shorter than him. He's just physical, and he doesn't really back down, and he gets right up in your grill. So I don't want that if I'm the Spurs. I don't want to deal with Dylan Brooks. I still think the Spurs would win in like 5 games at the most.
Right.
But I don't want Dylan Brooks. He's a cheap shot artist at times.
He'll hit Wemby in those little thin ribs.
I don't want him hurting Wemby. I don't want him doing anything that could potentially hamper a long Spurs playoff run. And Spurs fans have aspirations of a very long playoff run, and they should. But I'd rather Portland find a way to pull off the upset tonight. And the Spurs and Suns played 4 games in the regular season. They split those 4 meetings. The home team won all 4 games. Spurs went 2-1 against Portland, so a little bit more success there. Again, I'd pick San Antonio either way. They're going to be heavily favored either way, but Portland's younger. I think they're worse, and they don't have Dylan Brooks. So I want the Blazers, coached by former Spur Thiago Splitter, if I'm a Spurs fan.
I'm just going ahead and just getting the people money.
Yeah, I think the Suns are
on this given night. I'm going to get them some money. So,
yeah, first trip to the playoffs for the Spurs in 7 years. They finished the year 62-20, third best record in franchise history. Of course, going for their first championship since 2014. They've got a real shot. And whoever they get, game one will be at Frost Bank Center on Sunday night.
Nice.
So, Wemby's fine, had that rib injury late in the year, missed the last game, but they were resting him because he played in the 2 prior games. But obviously a good thing that he gets a few more days off before he has to gear up for his first playoff run of his career. But yeah, they've got a real chance this year. One of the best teams in the association all year long, finished with the second best record in the league. We'll have some Spurs folk on the show later this week to preview that first round series, whoever it is. And then for the Rockets, Buck, Houston ended up as the 5 seed in the West. They will play the Lakers, the 4-5 matchup in round 1. And the good news for Houston, Luka Doncic is hurt. Austin Reeves is hurt. Luka has been in Spain. He's been getting treatment overseas. He apparently is returning to the States this Friday, but I don't think either Luka or Reeves are expected to play early in this series. They're targeting midway through the series to come back, but obviously big advantage for the I would not feel good about the Rockets' chances at all if both of those guys were healthy. But with the 2 best players on the Lakers out right now, and yes, those guys are better than LeBron James this year, then Houston's got a real shot to advance to round 2.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron can carry them with the right people, but he can't carry the whole team now. It's just too late in his career. It's just too much to ask from him. So I would think, and Kevin Durant can carry his group a long way still.
I don't think he can carry the winner of this game.
He can shoot them a long way. He's a better shooter.
The winner of this series is going to get the Thunder.
Right.
And maybe a fully healthy Lakers squad can run with the Thunder. I don't think the Rockets can run with Oklahoma City.
No.
So I think the ceiling for Houston is round 2 if they even get there. But yeah, Kevin Durant right now is the best player in this series because of the injuries to the Lakers. And Kevin Durant's a stud. He's awesome. So yeah, he's good enough to help will Houston to a first round win. The Rockets were so up and down all year. Not having Fred VanVleet, who got hurt before the season even started, they just didn't have a true point guard, and their offense was just so up and down. And felt like the biggest storylines for the Rockets were KD burner accounts and teammates getting mad at other teammates and their coach saying weird stuff and probably being a freak off the court. I don't think the ceiling for that team's all that high.
No.
But with the Lakers injuries, I do like Houston's.
No, Bronny and his dad won't be able to carry the Lakers.
Yeah, and LeBron's been very good in the last couple of weeks. He's had to take more of the load with those injuries. But like you said, this isn't prime LeBron anymore. So him on his own, it's kind of a 3-man show. The Lakers don't have a lot of depth beyond Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. And without 2 of those guys, again, if you tell me they're back by game 2, I'd pick the Lakers to win. But if it's going to be 4 or 5, then I think the Rockets are going to move on in that one. So
I would agree.
There you go. There's a little play-in chatter. Again, we'll dive more into the first round as we get closer to the first round.
Is that the second game tonight? Are they both on tonight?
Well, you get 2 games tonight and 2 tomorrow.
True. Okay.
So you get the 9-10 game in the East with Miami taking on Charlotte. That's at 6:30. By the way, Prime Video. You got to watch this on Amazon. Call up Jeff Bezos and get this one done. And then the second game, sorry about this, Spurs fans, 9:00 tip-off between Portland and Phoenix. 2 West Coast teams, but not fun for anybody not on the left coast. I'll tell you that.
Man.
Yeah.
I got to give you Houston number. I'm taking Houston.
Houston in round 1.
Yeah, I'll just play a 50,000 unit play on that.
On what?
I mean, I can on the Rockets.
They're not playing until the weekend.
Oh, I thought you were playing. Who's playing tomorrow? Who did you say is playing tomorrow? Didn't you say back to back?
No, the play-in games are today and tomorrow. The first round of the playoffs start on
Start on
Saturday.
the weekend, Saturday.
Yeah, the Rockets and Spurs don't play until the weekend. They were too good to be in the play-in tournament.
It's just
So,
one group.
Your other game tonight is Miami and Charlotte. If you have any plays for the people, Charlotte's a 5.5-point home favorite. And then there's two other games tomorrow, not involving any of the Texas teams, that we'll ask you about on tomorrow's show.
Now, Charlotte's been in the playing game for a couple of years now. They seem to be that team that just –
Miami's always the team that's – I mean, Miami went from
Yeah.
play into the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. Charlotte's been pretty ass recently, but they've got Con Knipple, great rookie, shouldn't win Rookie of the Year, but might, and they've got LaMelo Ball. It's a fun team.
they can score. I don't want to put it – no, I don't want to put your money on that or mine.
Okay, thank you for not putting my money on that. I appreciate
No,
it.
I'll just take the one. I'll just take the Suns.
I appreciate that. Quick shout out to Rory Harmon. WNBA draft was
Yes.
last night. You know, we could start the BBK news with this because there is a BBK kind of news element to what went down at the WNBA draft yesterday. But Rory Harmon was picked in round 3. Pick 36 overall, selected by the Washington Mystics last night. The one Longhorn drafted. Congrats to her. Maybe the best player in Texas women's basketball history. And pretty cool moment. She wasn't at the draft, but they had some cameras around her. It looked like she was watching the draft at the facility, at the Texas facilities.
Mhm.
And some teammates were there. Some family was there. Some nice celebration going on as Rory Harmon ended up getting picked by Washington. So excited for her. Best of luck for her. Well-deserved for her. The Dallas Wings had the number 1 overall pick in last night's draft. They chose AZ Fudd out of UConn. It's the second straight year the Wings have had the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Last year, they took Paige Beckers out of UConn, number 1 overall.
Those teammates are back together, huh?
So those teammates are back together, and it's back-to-back top picks from Gino Auriemma's squad. I wonder if he shook anyone's hand last night. But that's not the story. It's not just their teammates, AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers, college teammates, now pro teammates. They are dating.
Yeah, they're mates.
They're mates.
Yes.
I don't know if this has ever happened before. I can't imagine it has. Now, there have been instances in the W where players who are dating are on the same team.
Right.
Back-to-back number 1 overall picks, and they're dating? There better be some elite chemistry in Dallas next year. I'll tell you what.
There's going to be some elite scoring. I know that.
Well, there should be. On the court or off the court? What are you talking about?
Both.
You giving some analysis here for the W?
Oh, yeah. Man, oh, man. You're talking about two young ladies that can score. Wow.
Yeah, they're both great players, and typically you get one when you end up with the number 1 pick. I mean, Dallas, it feels like the Dallas Wings have the number 1 pick every 6 months in the WNBA draft, and it only happens every 12. But they're not good. But, yeah, some good chemistry there. Teammates. Emphasis on the mates.
They're mateys. Yes.
What are they, Pirates? Mateys.
And as I said last night, I saw UCLA's whole team, all those seniors get drafted.
Yeah. UCLA, we're still upset that the Longhorns lost in the Final Four because Texas had a great team too. But Texas had 1 player drafted, and that was Rory Harmon, who went in the 3rd round, which is the last round of the WNBA draft. UCLA had 5 first-round picks.
How about that?
Keep in mind,
and then they had a 6th player.
There are only 15 picks per round.
I know.
So 1/3 of the first round were UCLA Bruins, and then yes, they had a 6th player go early in the 2nd round.
Wow.
So, like, that's, again, disappointed. Texas was right there against UCLA. They did not play well, but just goes to show you that the Bruins team that they lost to was not some fluke.
No, that was a good basketball team.
They had nothing but seniors and nothing but, future professionals on their squad. And, yeah, that's WNBA history. 5 first-round picks. 3 of them went in the top 6. I think they had picks 4, 5, and 6 back-to-back. And then a few more later, and, their coach was, like, standing up the entire game, basically.
Yeah, I watched it to about the 12th pick or whatever it is, and then that was it. I didn't get into the second and third round. I'm sorry. I wanted to be dedicated and everything to the WNBA, and I did. I watched the first hour, and then I was kind of done. BK, that was it for me. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you don't have
Trying to get that
apologize.
award, man. I want that award badly.
You don't have to apologize. I feel like you watched more of the WNBA draft than the average American. And people cannot get mad at us for not supporting women's sports. We support women's sports. We're all about the ladies. We're feminists on this show.
Boy, were they dressed up last night. Man, there are some beautiful, beautiful women in the WNBA playing. Wow.
Oh, that's why you were watching.
Oh, that's not why. I'm just saying.
And there goes the award. I thought you were excited to see which teams they went to.
I can't say they're beautiful women there.
And hear them talk. It's the best moments of their lives. And here you go.
It was very caring. Their mom and dad there, going to the team with their mates and all that stuff. But there are some beautiful, beautiful young ladies.
I better hear you say. You better say the same thing about the men when we get to their draft in June.
When they're dressed up, and I always talk about their dress and the way they dress. And the guys had a nice suit. I'll do that for the NFL draft. Guys look good. Guys look like overdressed or underdressed and look silly with their pink outfits on and, yellow shoes. I'm going to talk about that too. So,
yeah. All right, Buck Musburger, whatever you have to say, sir.
I'm just doing my bit for women.
What a beautiful woman.
Wow. AJ's doing some things right down in
So if you're a youngster.
See, I mean, come on there.
That's a beautiful woman. Whoa.
They were beautiful. They were, different than being in shorts and falling on the ground and doing all that stuff. They were dressed to the nines last night.
They were dressed to the nines. AZ Fudd actually changed her outfit midway through the night.
Did she?
Yep. And she changed her nails. She when she got picked and walked across the stage, she was wearing one thing. And then later in the night, she was interviewed by ESPN, their studio set. And she was wearing something completely different and had different nails. She saw Ma Huan in the middle of the draft.
That's cool. Nice job.
Yeah.
Had time for a quick change, huh?
Quick change and a quick Manny.
Nice.
And it pays to be the first pick. Now you got all that money that you get from the W.
That's right. Equal pay. Let's get it done.
Okay. All right. Well, now we're just being ridiculous.
Come on, man. Hey, their rookies are getting more than any rookies in the history of the W.
That's great. Good for them.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that equal pay thing, though. That's
until
there's equal revenue generated by the two leagues, then I don't know if equal pay is going to happen.
But what about the trophy that we were trying to get?
You can still get it.
Okay.
Yeah, we support women's sports.
Very much so.
Yes, we do. More from the BBK news before we get to why today's not so bad. Bill Belichick is being sued, Buck, by one of the parents in his girlfriend's daycare class.
No.
Kidding about that. His girlfriend's not in daycare, but I'm glad you believe that. That's good. Bill Belichick is being sued for more than $285,000.
Wow.
Care to take a guess on who is suing him or what he's being sued for?
That goofy hoodie or something?
Being sued for the hoodie?
Yeah, I mean, he's infringed upon somebody's rights with the hoodie.
The hoodie company is mad that he's been cutting off all their sleeves for the last.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's covered all the bases when it comes to that hood.
Yeah, I think so. Now he's been sued for nearly $300,000 by a painter who alleged that he sustained serious bodily injuries due to dangerous and unsafe working conditions at the legendary coach's Nantucket home.
What? Mold at his home in Nantucket? There once was a girl from Nantucket who, well, forget it. Belichick knows all those.
Nobody else does. Save that for when we talk to Belichick on the show.
Wow.
Was that a little nursery rhyme for his girlfriend? Is that what she likes to hear before being put to bed every night?
Well, whatever he has to do. So he's got a place out on the Cape, huh? Out in Nantucket.
Probably has 100 of them.
Yeah, he
Remember,
does.
she's spending all of his money on places too. Remember
Oh,
that.
that's right.
So this incident, though, occurred in June of 2024 when former President Andrew Jackson, that's the guy's name, the painter, slipped and fell due to the alleged unsafe conditions, leading to what the lawsuit described as a severe right ankle injury, together with pain, disability, medical expenses, lost wages, and other consequential damages. End quote.
Dude, hobble to your next painting gig, will you?
It mentioned alleged plastic sheeting or coverings as part of the unsafe conditions at the Belichick home. So an ankle injury. What do you think? He fell off a ladder or something, and that's why?
He slipped on the floor.
No surgery. Severe right ankle injury, together with pain, disability, medical expenses, lost wages, and other consequential damages, plus mental anguish. I always love that.
Oh,
And
yeah, I love that one. The mental anguish is the one.
mental anguish and emotional distress. So go ahead and throw another 100K on the back of that. But yeah, that's what's happening with Bill Belichick right now, is he's trying to get North Carolina back on track after a 4-8 year one.
So it wasn't because the guy was doing a painting of his fiance, a mural of her on a wall or something like that, like they did in Titanic.
I'd like to sign up for that gig. Doing like a nude painting of Jordan Hudson. Yeah.
Yeah. At his Nantucket home.
I can live with it. I don't really want to talk to her, but I'll do that.
She doesn't have to talk, just has to sit there.
Shh, 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 shh. So I focus better when you're quiet. So there's that. Why today's not so bad. Buck, probably should have started the show with this today. I owe you an apology for waiting this long to bring this up. April 14th, National Gardening Day.
Now you're talking.
Best day of the year for you?
One of the best, yes. I have some stuff I'm going to get done today.
There you go. It's also National Pecan Day.
And isn't it National Day before the taxes are due day?
Yeah, tax day is tomorrow, so get those done if you haven't yet. Hopefully you have, sir.
Yes, I have to ask my wife if everything is signed.
There you go. National Pecan Day. Also National Ex-Spouse Day.
Ooh.
Check on number one.
I think my kids will let me know how she's doing. That's fine. That's plenty.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many calls made on National Ex-Spouse Day. Unless you're maybe trying to get somebody back. This is a good day to try that. But yeah. Birthdays. Baker Mayfield, 31.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite. Julie Christie, 85.
Julie Christie. Was she an actress or an author?
Actress.
Okay.
In?
I don't know.
Dr. Zhivago.
Not another Dr. Zhivago. We just lost Omar Sharif last week, right?
Oh, it was his birthday last week.
Oh.
Now he might be losing him, Chad.
Oh no. I told my wife today he had passed away.
Oh no. No, Omar Sharif. Oh no, yeah, he's dead. He's actually dead. You're right.
Okay, he is dead. So
he died a long time ago. That's what
I was going to say. Well, that's good.
That's on me. No, she's still alive. Julie Christie still alive. Greg Maddux is 60. David Justice is 60.
Yeah.
Brad Ausmus, Astros great, 57. Pat Surtain, the second, 26. Chase Young, 27. The player that I've been wrongest about in my career.
Is that
Who's your guy? Mike? You thought Mike Evans would suck or something?
Yeah, Mike Evans was the guy I said, I don't know how he's going to be as a pro.
I said Chase Young was going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he got drafted second overall out of Ohio State. He is a bum. He's still in the league, but he just doesn't care about football at all. So he's just wasting.
He's actually still in the league?
I think he's still in the league. He's just literally wasting away in Margaritaville, wherever he is. Sucks. Rob McElhenney, 49, from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yesterday, Dennis's birthday. Today, Mac's birthday. Born on this day now dead, Pete Rose.
There you go.
And Loretta Lynn.
Loretta Lynn.
Great Loretta Lynn. And a couple of real quick anniversaries. On this day in 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic.
Oh, that didn't go well.
The unsinkable ship that I was told could not sink apparently sunk less than 3 hours later. More than 1,500 lives lost. Sorry for your loss.
Got to watch out for those icebergs.
But that's not the greatest tragedy in this country's history on this day. 1865, while attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., President Abraham Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth, passed away the following morning, becoming the first U.S. president to be assassinated. And that led us to the famous quote from Mary Todd Lincoln, "Hey, are we going to finish the play or what?"
So should we keep on going with the play or what?
He's already gone. Might as well keep this going. And then Noah Webster's Dictionary. In 1828, the first edition of the American Dictionary of the English Language, easy for me to say, was published.
I didn't have that first edition.
Didn't have that first edition. Second was more your speed.
Yeah, it was more my speed, yes.
And there you go. And last but not least, on this day in 2024, Scotty Scheffler secured his second Masters win in 3 years. Almost had 3 and 6.
Yes, he did.
Damn Rory. So there you go. There's why today is not so bad.
Not so bad.
According to Google Gemini. If any of that's wrong, then don't blame me. Blame AI.
Yeah, well.
I always wonder. I don't always fact check these things. I always wonder if it just spews out random stuff to see if I'm paying attention.
Just to keep you on your toes.
Keep me on my toes. I think most of those things happen. Maybe I got to verify those a little bit more because Sal says that's wrong. I don't know what's wrong, but something I said is wrong. And that's how the show's going to end today.
On this day, Honest Abe took one.
Maybe he didn't take one. That's probably the one that's not true.
Took one for the team, huh?
Did he take one for the team? No, April 14th, 1865. That's when he was shot. That's true.
Took one for the team.
Yeah, by Calvin Booth, I believe, who was the guy who shot him. I think that's it. All right, good stuff today, my friend.
Lots of fun, buddy.
Tomorrow, I think we're going to talk to Clarence Hill. He's been covering the Dallas Cowboys since before I've been alive. We'll get his thoughts on the Cowboys draft plans. I do believe our old buddy Chip Brown will join the show as well to talk all things Texas Longhorns.
Awesome.
So I hope all of you people will join us too. Thanks so much for joining us today. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
Welcome.
Welcome.